Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Define Disaster. This is Battlefield 4, and in today's weapon review, we're going to be taking a closer look at the 338 Recon bolt action sniper rifle with the aim of finding out both what this gun is capable of and how it compares to some of the best sniper rifles in the game. Now, before we get started with this review, quick shout out to Ross Kotopoulos for suggesting this video on the 338 Recon. I hope I'm able to answer your questions regarding both the performance of this gun as well as how it stacks to some of the best bolt action rifles in the game. But with that being said, let's move on to the stats of the 338 Recon. Being a bolt action rifle, we have a standard bolt action rifle damage motor here, maximum damage of 100, minimum damage of 59. What should be noted is, however, that this minimum damage is reached at a slightly later point than most bolt action rifles, at 150 meters that is, instead of 100, meaning you're going to be doing a little bit more damage out at range than some of your competitors. It should be noted, of course, however, that you are trying to go for the headshots here and not rely on body shots, and as such is only a minute advantage when comparing to some of the other bolt action rifles. The rate of fire of the 338 Recon is respectable at 42 rounds per minute. Nothing special here, nothing too high or low. Pretty much average for a bolt action rifle. When we move on to magazine size, this is where the 338 is a bit on the weaker side. 5+1, 6 bullets in total is not a lot. It's on the lowest side for the bolt action rifles, but it isn't too much of a hindrance to this weapon's performance because, of course, this is not a close quarter weapon which you're going to have to reload in a pinch. You always have enough time to hide behind cover when using a bolt action rifle, unless, of course, you're going super aggressive. The muzzle velocity of the 338 at 560 meters per second also kind of lets it down. It's certainly on the lower end of bolt action rifle. It's not as bad as something like a CS5 at 400 meters per second, but it is low. It means that you're gonna have to lead your moving targets at range a little bit more than when using something like a CSLR4 or JNG90. When we come to bullet drop, there's nothing surprising here. 9.81. This gun, or the bullets that this gun shoots, at least abide to the laws of physics, which is nice. So no advantage like with something you would have the SRR61 here. So standard bolt action 9.81 bullet drop. Moving on then to the reload time of the 338 Recon. We have a short reload here that is with one or more bullets left in the chamber or magazine of 3 seconds and a long reload of 4.5. This is pretty much average, with the short reload being on the longer side. However, it doesn't matter because, of course, we're talking about a bolt action rifle and you usually have plenty of time to reload your rifle. Talking about something then that we don't usually talk about, the accuracy of a sniper rifle. This gun has a standard 0 ADS when not moving, as expected by pretty much all bolt action rifles. However, this gun does have a slight advantage over its competitors in that it is slightly more accurate when hip firing and when shooting and moving. Now, while I wouldn't recommend hip firing a bolt action rifle in any situation, you can maybe get a small advantage out of this gun being slightly more accurate when moving, because sometimes you don't stop and shoot correctly, or the game doesn't just quite register it. Then maybe you'll get lucky, and this gun being slightly more accurate in those situations than other guns may land you the shot that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. But at an ADS of 1.125 when aiming down sight and moving, it's nothing you can rely on. I certainly wouldn't strafe and shoot using any bolt action rifle, not even the 338 Recon. Having covered the stats of the 338 Recon, let's move on to the attachments that I would suggest you use when running with this gun. Of course, the optic is going to be your choice, but personally it's going to be either an 8x optic for me, the rifle scope, or the PKA 3.4 times. PSO1 4x is also good. Those are generally my scopes I like to run with, and as you all know, I like to keep my scope number limited so that I get used to what distances I'm looking at. When it comes to accessories, really this is a free roam choice. Some people like to run a laser sight in case they have to hip fire this gun for some unexplainable reason. Other people, or most people, will find either a variable zoom most useful if they find themselves looking at longer range targets, or a rangefinder if they don't want to bother aiming above the heads of their targets and instead just find out how far out they are and adjust the zeroing of their scope. Barrel attachment is, of course, as per usual, nothing standard barrel for a sniper rifle. You shouldn't really be using any kind of attachment on a sniper rifle. There's no point, unless of course you're going to go into extreme close quarter with a bolt action rifle. Then maybe you want to use a suppressor, but frankly there's a lot better bolt action rifles out there to do that with, and the 338 Recon is not your best bet there. When it comes to auxiliary, once more, as per usual, we're going to be having a straight pull here. It's just the best attachment for a bolt action rifle, allowing you to rechamber the gun while still aiming down sight. First of all, allowing you, of course, not to lose your target if you have to put another shot into them, and decreasing your effective reload time because you don't have to first disengage your optic and then rechamber your gun. Having looked at the gun in a little bit more detail, you may be wondering, how does it compare to some of these sniper rifles best? JNG90, CSLR4, M98B, SRR61, anybody? Those, of course, are by many people considered the best sniper rifles in the game. So how does the 338 Recon stack up against those? Well, fire rate's alright, reload time's alright, accuracy maybe even slightly better than your average, but not very impactful. But what really lets this gun down is both its magazine size and muzzle velocity being worse than your average bolt action rifle. Especially for me, the muzzle velocity is what makes it a little bit harder to use than maybe something like a CSLR4, being 110 meters per second lower than something like the JNG90 or CSLR4 at 560 meters per second versus the 670 that the JNG90 can sport. This is a significant disadvantage. On the other hand, once you get accustomed to leading your targets slightly more, is it really a big issue? No, frankly, not really. A bolt action rifle is always going to be effective as long as it has a decent damage model, which allows you to get decent headshots, is perfectly accurate as all bolt action rifles are, and doesn't have kind of some stupidly slow fire rate, which the 338 Recon doesn't have either. So the verdict on the gun is pretty much, sure, use it. If you feel like it, it's a good sniper rifle. It's not the best in the game, but frankly, it doesn't always have to be the best in the game. You can perform perfectly well with the 338 Recon. And once I got back into kind of sniping in Battlefield 4, because it has been a while since I picked up a bolt action rifle, I was going on some pretty decent kill streaks without any difficulties with this gun. So tell me in the comments down below what you thought about both this video and, of course, the 338 Recon. Do you have personal experiences with this gun? Is it your favorite sniper rifle, and why? Feel free, of course, to also leave your suggestions for future videos down below in the comments as well. But otherwise, I would like to thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next Battlefield 4 video.